What's up, guys? It's Sam. I think at this point, I've recorded this video 7 different times, like full videos, full edits, shot a bunch of stuff. And every time I get to the end, I feel like I change my thoughts on the iPad, specifically on iPadOS 16. It came out just a few days ago at WWDC. I immediately installed it on my iPad Pro, and I've been using it a ton since. And I have so many thoughts, right? There's like parts of the update that are so great that they absolutely nailed, that I love so much, and we'll talk about those in a second. There are also these extreme lows and so much bloat that we have at this point that I feel like the iPad is just starting to be ruined by it, and that the experience that used to be so good and so clean is slowly starting to fade away because Apple has their sights set on the wrong thing. Okay, before we get into all my criticisms and other thoughts about the state of iPadOS, I do want to talk about the update and the good things in iPadOS 16. No, seriously, iPadOS 16 is the biggest and the best update Apple has ever brought to the iPad. There is so much good stuff here, starting off with proper external display support. I don't know if you guys felt something inside of you be like awakened when you plug in your iPad to a display and it doesn't mirror it with black bars on the sides, but to actually see 2 independent screens, oh my god, it's amazing. Were my expectations in hell before? Maybe. They are now like slightly below the heavens because it is really good. I wish that I could move windows around and I haven't been able to do that yet, but still, it's really good, and it's so cool to finally see that materialize. Following that, the Files app is so much better. Not only can you view the size of a lot of things, you can also change the extensions of files, and overall, it feels like we're getting pretty close to Finder level. It's not all the way as good as Finder yet, but it's the closest we've seen, and I'm actually really happy with where it's at. Dude, they've also brought display scaling to the iPad, so you can change if you want your content to be larger or smaller to fit more stuff or less stuff on the screen, which is just incredible. I have wanted this, again, to see it here, to see it work and have it be so good in Beta 1, and damn, that's impressive. You'll even be able to customize toolbars to your liking in some of your favorite apps in the fall. And I know this one's small, but there's finally a weather app, and I know you're probably laughing, like, is he really bringing that up in the things that he appreciates most? I am, okay? I absolutely am. You know why? Because there's been no excuse in the past for the iPad to not have a weather app. So these are the things that are amazing. These are the iPad exclusive features that I think are incredible and that I believe together are the most impactful iPadOS update we've ever seen. And before moving on with the rest of iPadOS 16, I do want to hop in here and get a little bit more real with you guys. I mean, this video is already broadly serious, but I do want to talk about BetterHelp, who sponsored today's video. I know it's easy to sit there and be like, I can figure it out, I can fix it, and then you realize you've been telling yourself that for like 3 years and you're not there, and that's okay. Like, I want you to know that's okay. Sometimes you just need some extra help, and there should be no shame in that. That's why BetterHelp Online Therapy is here for those twists and turns that will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist in less than 48 hours. But unlike other sites, it's not a crisis line, it's not self-help, it's professional therapy done securely online, available to clients around the world. Once you get matched with your therapist, you can video call with them, you can message them. It's cheaper than going to traditional therapy. And just for you guys watching, there's a special offer down below. Go to betterhelp.com/iupdate and get 10% off your first month of BetterHelp. I know therapy is a big deal, right? Or it feels that way when you haven't gotten started, but it literally changed my life, and I hope it can change your life too. There's another feature that should be in that section that isn't, because it's just okay. It works. It gets the job done. I'm talking about the flagship feature for this year, what is it? No, it's not Center Stage. Stage Manager. Oh, Stage Manager. I thought you were going to be the one. I thought you were going to make me just drop my Mac off at the gas station and never come back for it. But no, I'm still very much attached at the hip to my Mac, and for good reason. Windows on the iPad seems like a good idea until you realize that you can really, even on the largest iPad that Apple sells, maybe fit 4 windows if you're lucky, if you make them pretty tiny, even if you have the display scaling turned all the way up so you can fit more content than before on here. And then when it comes to using them, they're kind of glitchy right now, and this is a beta, so I am definitely giving Apple some slack here, but even moving them around just isn't super fluid, and really my baseline is I want this to feel as good as it does on the Mac. I want moving windows around to be as easy and as responsive as it is on the Mac. And right now it's not. It could get there, but as we've seen with cursor support, Apple didn't just put a cursor on here like on the Mac. There's some unique animations and it sort of magnetically attaches on things when you move the cursor. It makes it feel iPadOS-y and really nice, but the attention to detail on the windows is just too much for me. There's multiple steps to close or full screen or minimize apps, and it's generally confusing because then when you've got this, you still have the home screen underneath. And this is when it hit me. I was just sitting here testing it and I was like, wow, there are now, what, 4 different ways to view apps on the iPad? Of course, normally in full screen, then you've got slide over, then you have split view, then you have split view plus slide over, and then you've also got the new Windows with Stage Manager. And every one of these areas has different intricacies about what apps can do and how they can react and what apps support where and how, and I question why. Not to mention that you can also have multiple versions of apps that I forget about for months at a time because they're completely hidden by pressing and holding on apps in the dock, and then you can show all windows, and I'm like, oh, that's where that window from last year went. Which brings me to the third part of this video, which is that I think this inconsistency is the reason that the iPad is just staying where it's at. Every year it feels like Apple half tries to reinvent the iPad, but never quite fully does. So then we're just kind of stuck in this loop of them adding features from the Mac 1 year at a time, very slowly as well. And it's resulted in me not enjoying to use my iPad as much. You know why? Because macOS is right there and macOS is killing it. Do you realize how much insanely better the Mac has gotten in recent history with Apple Silicon? It is not even close. Combine that with the new designs where you have this perfect hardware integration. I'm like, man, if only they could do this on another product too. Even the iPhone, I feel like still nails the integration, but the iPad is just going in so many different directions because here's what happened. In 2010, the iPad started as a really big iPhone. That is what it was. And guess what? People loved it. But then there started to be increased competition and Apple wanted to expand the product line to more expensive offerings. So how do you justify an $800 iPad that essentially costs as much as a computer? Well, you make it a computer, or you say that it's a computer now, even if that's quite a stretch. Now listen, since the iPad Pro came out in 2016, I will admit this can be your computer. If you like to browse the web, do email, maybe some light touches in Photos or iMovie, sure, this can be your computer. At the same time, this is an $1,100 machine in my hand, the 12.9-inch mini LED M1 iPad Pro. You can buy for $100 less the M1 MacBook Air that can do everything this can do, but more with longer battery life and better and more efficient. Do you see the problem that I'm highlighting here? By Apple calling the iPad a computer, we've just seen these weird iterations of some macOS features every year, but it's still always behind the Mac. There's never been a year where this has been better than the Mac. I mean, has there? Not from my experience. And if you're wondering why I'm just so relentlessly comparing the iPad to the Mac, you might not think that's fair. Well, Apple says that's fair because Apple keeps calling this a computer. And like I said, it is. It definitely is a computer. But there's a very, very big difference between this computer and that computer. And even with iPadOS 16, even with the nice stuff that it adds, it's not that computer. And maybe it doesn't have to be, right? We've been asking for these Mac features for years, but seeing them added just makes it feel like a B-tier Mac, so I'd love to see some more tablet-specific stuff here. Show me a new way to interact with apps. Give me a completely revamped user interface with touch at its center, because we're starting to shift to the trackpad and cursor support as the primary input. All I'm saying is that at the end of the day, the iPad is an iPad, and adding a bunch of stuff from a Mac, it doesn't really make it feel like a better iPad. It just makes it feel like a worse Mac. All right, guys, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts about all this down below. I thought this was going to be the year. I had hopes. It's not. Well, maybe it will be. The beta's not over yet. They could change things. Maybe things are radically different, and I revisit this in a few months. But as of right now, in beta 1, the vision, it's not hitting right. All right, guys, thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much. Catch you cool cats in my next one. Peace.